Welcome to the show. I'm Keli Ferguson from ESPN 106.3. Well, folks, it has certainly been a crazy 11 days without sports. Well, I guess technically without sports, because we did have the NFL, which started free agency this past Monday. Of course, we're going to talk some NFL free agency, and of course, we cannot get through a show without talking about the coronavirus. And plus, a little bit later in the show, we'll talk with our one and only Jerry Hamilton about how this coronavirus pandemic has affected recruiting and the NCAA as well as the PGA. But first, I want to bring in my teammate, Paxton Boyd. Paxton is joining me today so we can talk about just really what this past week without sports has been like. Well, over a week and a half without sports has been like. And of course, in the interest of practicing social distancing, Paxton is in another studio on another set. Thanks for joining me, Paxton.
Absolutely, anytime.
Paxton, first off, we got to start. What has this 11 days without sports been like for you? How strange has this been?
It's been very strange. You know, last week when I was here at, WPTV, News Channel 5, and WFLX Fox 29, I did a commentary and I kind of tried to put into words my thoughts, my feelings, my emotions as, you know, we were just a few days into this coronavirus pandemic and the concerns surrounding it. And I was watching the sports world kind of crumble around me. And, you know, it's just ironic that sports usually is the great unifier, the one thing that we all have in common that sort of unites us all and, you know, helps us get by through whatever our day-to-day struggles might be. And now when we need it the most, it's gone. And, you know, in that commentary, I went on to say, you know, it's ironic. We were talking about the coronavirus pandemic, and, you know, a lot of the times people may want to tell us stick to sports. And during times like this, we wish we could. And unfortunately, we just can't with everything else that seems to be going on.
And I really echo those sentiments because I remember watching that Jazz Thunder game, and all of a sudden you see everybody looking around, the players. You see Chris Paul trying to go over to the Jazz players and they're shooing him away. And they're just, everybody's looking like, what is going on? And nobody knew what was going on at the time. And then you start getting the alerts. I'm sure you have breaking news alerts on your phone just like I do. And you start getting the alerts popping up saying that the game has been postponed and nobody knows why. And then the NBA is suspending the season. I mean, it has really been nuts. But thank goodness for the NFL because we had free agency, which began this past week. And of course, the big story was Tom Brady going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So let me ask you, what did you think about that move?
Personally, I think there's a lot more going on behind the scenes than we will ever know. You know, I think there's something that happened with that Robert Kraft, Bill Belichick, Tom Brady dynamic that we may never know about until 15, 20 years from now when the ESPN 30 from 30 comes out. It's definitely weird. You know, it was crazy to see. It was something that I didn't really think was going to happen, Tom Brady moving on from New England, until it did, in fact, happen. But here we are, and, you know, it's definitely going to be weird. The one thing I thought was, you know, this was going to be interesting because, you know, the one player that seemed impervious to falling victim to the Patriot way was Tom Brady. You know, for so long they proved that, you know, no player is bigger than the team. You know, you're just a brick in the wall here. You're spoke in the wheel. No player is more important than the other, even Tom Brady. And it finally looked like, you know, the Patriots, you know, we've arrived at that fork in the road where the Patriots were going to say, you know, we can do this with or without you. But now the reports come out that, you know, Robert Kraft said, look, if Tom Brady wanted to be here, we would have made that happen, you know, and Tom Brady seemingly wanted to be someplace else. He signed with Tampa Bay. So it's definitely weird. And, you know, I'm left with nothing else to believe, but Tom Brady wants to prove that, you know, look, I am the GOAT. And even though Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick had a lot to do with this, I had a lot to do with it as well. And I can do it on my own. I can do it without those two.
So we do have one more thing that we have to ask you, Paxton, or that we need to talk about, I should say. We are both the parents of young children. Between us, we have a 4-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 2-year-old. Mm-hmm. I'm the lucky one with the 4 and the 2-year-old. And Paxton has a 3-year-old daughter. How are you getting through all of this with your baby girl?
It's definitely weird. You know, I know we were talking earlier, you know, so many of the things that we are used to doing with our kids, we are no longer able to do. And you want to be able to maintain that sense of normalcy, that sense of routine. And, you know, my daughter loves to go outside. She loves to go to the playground. And, you know, I'm sort of deferring to the people who know more than I do about this situation. It's definitely very scary. You don't want to expose her to any harm, any potential, chance of picking up the virus. So at the same time, it's difficult to, keep them cooped up in the house all day. My daughter loves to do puzzles. She's really into Frozen 2 right now, but there's only so much time in the day for you to do those things. So, I've been trying to get her outside. I've been trying to keep her active and just like we talked about earlier, try to maintain that sense of normalcy for both of us, really, not just her, but definitely myself as well.
Normalcy and sanity all at the same time. I've been trying to get the kids outside as well. Of course, my son asked to go to the slide just today, and I felt so bad because it's like, no, we can't go to the slide, baby. But the good thing is, because we are so blessed to live in South Florida, we can pretty much be outside all the time. So at least they can be outside and go on nature walks, if you will, whether it's seeing ducks by the pond or the leaves on the trees. And I find that only 20, 30 minutes out there kind of winds them down pretty good for nap time. So that might not be a bad idea, just in case any of you were looking for some ideas to do with the kiddos, at least if you have young kids. Now, if you got teens and tweens, Paxton and I cannot help you.
Nope.
All right, thanks once again, Paxton, for joining me.